All right, welcome to Real Estate Success. I'm your host, Mena Badros, here today with Claudienne. Great to have you here.
It's a wonder to be here with you.
Awesome. Man, you have a ton of great real estate experience, and I really want to dive into all of that. But before we get there, I want people to really get a grasp of who you truly are beyond that. So, without mentioning any professional accomplishments, can you tell people who you are?
Listen, my name is Claudienne Hibert-Smith. That is who I am. Raised by two Caribbean parents. My parents divorced when I was a very young um, girl, but it didn't stop us. We kept going. I gave birth to my son, who's going to be 29 this month at the age of 14. So I gave birth to him at the age of 14, graduated from high school, went on to the University of Florida, go Gators. Then I got a job, a job, just over broke, I like to call it. And so that's a little bit about my life in a nutshell.
Cool. Why did you get into real estate, and when did that happen for you?
So at the age of 21, I was with my seventh grade teacher. We had become very good friends. She took me in at the probably in the seventh grade or something like that for a couple of years. I just wasn't on the right track, and she saw greater for my life than probably most people did. Moving forward, she moved to Dallas and came back to Florida, and she bought a house, and the realtor made like $40,000 in 60 days. And I said, I know how to add and subtract. Something isn't adding up properly, because I was taking a whole year going to work from 8 to 5 to make that same $40,000. And so literally 2 years late, no, 2 days later, 2 days later, I literally quit my job. I called them up and said, I'm not returning. I didn't even know how to get my real estate license. I knew how to learn. I knew how to get an education, and I've already done it.
Right.
Um, Luckily for me, it only took me a week to go to class, knock out those 63 hours that are required in the state of Florida. And like magic, I failed the test twice. Remember, I'm 21 in Miami, everything is going on. So I left Miami, went to Dallas for a week, studied, and knocked the exam out.
That's awesome. Now you had over 20 plus years in real estate. Now, can you take us real quick of how your career has evolved over those years?
Oh, definitely. And I like the word pivot. When I came into the market in wow, '01, was it '01? Yeah, '01, '02. We had a nice little run. It was just a nice, normal real estate market. And I know that now. I didn't know that then, but it was just very normal. Your average 3% increase every year. And something took place. I was rookie of the year at my company I had been with for 20 years. Something took place. We had something called the recession in 2007, 8, and 9. You know, uh, People were losing their homes left and right. Cities became blighted. Um, it was just a very bad time. And I went from making 500, about $50,000 back then in sales, to about, I'd say $50,000. I still have those 1099s. And it
Wow.
was like, oh my God, how did this happen? But luckily for me, I had some investment properties. I had started to invest in real estate very early on. At the age of 21, I bought my first duplex. And so luckily for me, I had another stream of income. Um, that's year one through about, I'd say about seven. It was the door knocking, it was the mailing letters, it was, letting people know that I'm now a real estate professional. It was going back to my college classmates saying, hey, remember I'm a, real estate professional. And I kind of just took off. I just kind of took off. I was hungry. Like Les Brown would say, hungry. I was hungry for success. And so by any means necessary, as long as it was the legal way, I tapped into it. I remember my early years going to Tony Robbins and the Brian Buffini's and the Mike Ferries, and now we have Tom Ferry. And so
Right.
I remember tapping into a lot of resources to learn a lot.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And what do you do now in real estate? Kind of fast forward. How do you spend your real estate time now?
So I spend my real estate time building other realtors. So I always said when I got to a place where I was successful, I would go back and teach the realtors what I did. I didn't spend a lot of time focusing on just getting other people rich. I also spent time with getting me into a space of wealth, which was to accumulate real estate properties. And so, you know, I right now I spend my time educating other realtors on what I did, literally year 1 through 5, and then we take them through 5 through 10 because I had to take a pivot. Social media became very relevant. YouTube became relevant. Then Twitter appeared. Facebook was already around. Instagram appeared, and all these places appeared, and so we had to move with the times, just like we're doing it again with AI.
Right. And so, question about that: how do you like pivot intelligently without, the shiny object syndrome, without being too overly distracted or overwhelmed? Just I mean, as realtors, we get a lot of things kind of thrown in our direction. So
Like things like what? Tell me. Give me an example.
that's good. I mean, a lot of different technologies, right? A lot of different tools, resources, platforms.
I think you should
Mark.
always just pick one thing and stick with it until success. Then you, by nature, will just, what will happen is that things will start to happen. So just take me. I focused on Facebook because kind of when I was in college, Facebook was around, right? I loved it. I didn't like MySpace back then. It was a little raunchy for me, right? So Facebook was this new
Yep.
light of like kind people like me. And I wouldn't even say professionals because we were in college
Right. It was all
trying to
just
figure it
college
out.
based when it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it evolved. Evolved. So I stuck to that one space. And now I have a lot of followers on Facebook that we communicate, right? It's a great place to communicate and stay connected. Then Instagram came around. Then I focused on Instagram. Now I'm focusing on YouTube, and so I don't believe you can be in all those spaces at one time. You can, but you're paying people to do it. It's not authentic. And so stay one course until you reach success, and then move into the next space. And then what happens is that look at Instagram. You could only put one link in Instagram for a very long time. Then somebody came up with Linktree.
Right.
Things will happen, and you won't have to worry about, well, how are these people going to get to my website? Okay, how are they going to get to my YouTube? Somebody's going to come around with something innovative. That's not my techie self. I don't have a techie brain. I have a more creative brain. and,
Mm.
and, and they'll make your lives a lot easier and simplistic. Look at HubSuite and all these places where it allows you to post one thing, and then now you go everywhere. Look at Instagram. You could post on Instagram and it'll automatically go to Facebook if you
Okay.
set your settings. So the point is that things will happen with time that will minimize your time in all these spaces. So you're working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, for sure. Now you mentioned a few things that you did early on, like door knocking. Also learning a lot, going to a lot of trainings, networking. If you had to bring it down to one thing that had the biggest impact on your career, what do you think it would be?
The, my drive,
Your drive.
my drive.
I love it.
Um, I don't think you can be impacted unless you're in the space. So
Mm.
let's just say this. Success is just not going to fall over you, right? You got to kind of put yourselves in rooms. You got to put yourself in position. And so because of my drive, I'm always in the room. I'm always manifesting. I recently came over to EXP. This is my second year over here. And I remember year one, just my first 3 months going to LA, not LA, to Vegas to EXP Con. And I
Right.
remembered everybody walking across the stage getting their icon award. I'm like, what is that? I'm going to do. I'm going to be on that stage next year. Not only was I on the stage, the following year, I was introducing the president of Success Magazine, Tony Robbins' son. Like, it was amazing. And so just being in the space, being in the room, um, has really launched me to be where I am today. And so I'll start with my drive. I'll definitely attribute my success to my drive.
Awesome. And I don't know if that's something that can be taught or learned, but if someone who doesn't, have that and they need that, right, to get off or to get going, what are maybe some small things they can do to kind of build that in themselves?
I think everybody has a community, and I think everybody has some level of something within them. How do we nurture it? How do we get out? For me, it's getting me into those rooms. It's getting me into those relationships. It's like something extremely amazing happened today in the XP. It's just being in the right space at the right time. But for others, how do you pull it out of you? Right? It could be that you're doing your month your morning routine. What does your routine look like? I think everybody has a formula, and I think everybody should get into whatever routine works for them. So for me, it might be meditating and praying. For my husband, it might be meditating, praying, and working out. I don't work out every day. He doesn't miss a beat, whether he's sick or not. He's not missing a beat of workout. So figure out what that routine is. What are you communicating to yourself? Who are the people that you are around? Don't be afraid to cut people off to get to where you need to go. Because sometimes, and I truly believe this. I believe this. I believe LeBron James is LeBron James. I believe for a reason. I believe Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant for a reason. And if you look at, let's just say LeBron James for a second, he's off of social media the whole time he's in the playoffs. Like that's not easy to do because we're so addicted to social media.
Yeah.
When you're sleeping, he's working out. Yes, he might have a God-given talent, but some people are asleep on their talent.
Right, for sure.
I've heard Kobe Bryant say, God bless his heart, rest in peace. But I've heard him say, when you guys are asleep at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the morning, he's boom, he's shooting. He's shooting. He's shooting. Instead of taking 100 shots, he's taking 500 shots. So you got to be doing more than what your counterparts are doing. That's why I believe they hit the word greatness. I can call out Michael Jordan. I could look at Patrick Ewing. I could look at Mr. Irvin. Like I can go back to those predated people. Maybe I shouldn't call them predated. I should call them I don't know, gurus.
Yeah, that's a
When
good
I
one.
hear their story, they are doing way more than the average basketball player. I don't even know how I got on basketball, but they are
That's a good
doing
analogy.
more than what the average player is doing. It just wasn't they were born, they were tall, and they were great. There's so many tall, great people,
Right.
athletic people. I believe it's what they're putting in every day that most people aren't doing that accelerates their ability to hit to hit that shot, to hit that winning shot when it's needed, to hit those shots to keep them going. So it's the same thing with real estate. What are you doing differently? How are you bringing that out? What are your disciplines? What are you doing? Are you doing meditation? Do you have a mantra? I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, like I can give you that because I say it every day. Like, what
Right.
are you feeding yourself? And the more you feed yourself, the more of what you have inside of you will flourish. Now, watch this. If I eat pizza every day, I'm going to get fat. So watch what you're feeding yourself. No,
Right.
this is serious. It could be good stuff that you're feeding yourself, or it could be bad stuff that you're feeding yourself. I just choose what I want to nurture within. I can curse you out, but I don't want to do that. So I don't feed myself that type of energy. I get away from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect
Perfect.
sense. No, I love it. Awesome. Now you told me you've been at the same place brokerage for 20 years, right? Before making a change. So that's I mean that's a lot, right? The average realtor definitely changes in a lot less years than that. So I'm assuming, changing was not something that you wanted to do. So why the reason for change after being at some place for so long?
So I don't know that change is not something that I wanted to do because I was on my way to retire.
Hmm.
I was literally on my way to retirement at the age of 40. And I tell you what, I had my first son at 14. You know that. I told you that. Okay. Now
Right.
watch what happens. I got pregnant again 27 years later.
Hmm.
And so I started to feed myself, well, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to go into coaching. I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to go into coaching. And that company wasn't really listening to the needs of what I needed to get to my next level. And I was willing to do it free. Like I just wanted to give people what I had gotten over so many years. So it wasn't that didn't want change. It was what change did I need.
Hmm.
Now I'm going to tell you, when you're in your formula every day, when you're in your routine every day, You don't got to take a long time to make a decision because you feel it. You feel it. That is the benefit of being in a routine on a daily basis, a good routine. I don't mean going to get you, well, some people think smoking is good for them. That ain't for
Mm.
me, but I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about some real spiritual stuff that really gets you grounded into a space. And watch what happens. It wasn't that I wasn't ready to go to change. I just didn't know what the next move was. So when it was presented to me, when EXP was presented to me, I didn't come just for EXP. And I'll be honest with you, all this rev share and share, like I didn't know how to build that stuff, even though I think I've done a great job at building and I'm still got another level to go. And then when I get to that level, there'll be another level to go. And I just hit beta, which is one way away from alpha,
That's awesome. Congratulations. There's always room to grow, right?
always room to grow, but it was the energy that I wanted to align with. It
Mm.
wasn't that people didn't come to me before about EXP. It was the right person coming to me about EXP, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah, for sure.
it was a 10X family. You know, Elena gave me a phone call. Grant's people gave me a phone call. They said, we wanted you to be on this show. And I was like, they're not looking for EXP realtors? I was like, okay. I'll go. You know who tells Grant no? He's a huge platform and I like him. You know, I've been to many 10X cons and growth cons, and it was an opportunity. And I said, you know what? It wasn't that I was ready to retire at 40. I just needed a new level of energy.
Mm.
And I said, I'll figure out the rest later. So 30 minutes, I made a decision. I called 3 people. I called Jeff Coriolan, which is one of my realtor associates in a different office, but same company. I called my husband, Mario Smith, and I called Stormy Wellington. And I called those 3 people because those people and I are in alignment. I knew I told Stormy something, she was going to add me into the meditation fold, right? I knew that she would add me into the spiritual realm. I knew my husband would tell me, Claudienne, don't worry about if your team comes with you or not. You built it, you'll build it again. I needed to hear that. And in 30 minutes, I made a phone call to the owner of my brokerage. And I said, hey, listen, I don't think I'm leaving the Kai's company. You know, y'all have been great. There was nothing. I was there for 20 years. Like, no company is perfect. They were like a family to me, but it was time for me to let go of that family to build the next family.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. So obviously you made your decisions, for certain reasons, but after you made the move over, what did you find out or discover that maybe you didn't, think of before, or added benefits that you weren't necessarily aware of?
Listen, no matter what company I am at, I don't look for what they can do for me. And this is a theory I think everybody should listen to. I look at what I can bring to the company. So I didn't have time to focus on, was onboarding difficult? Well, why is this not going on? Or I didn't have time to focus on that because my focus was what tools do Claudienne have that I could bring to make this a better company? Like,
Mm.
what could I bring to this culture so that people will, one, know my name? And I tell you a story. My first year in EXP, I'm backstage at EXP Con, and I meet the owner, Glenn Stanford. I don't even meet him. I see him. And I said, and I don't wait for people to introduce me. I'm not that type of chick. So I walk up to him and I say, hey, Mr. Glenn Stanford, I just want to introduce myself to you. And I tell him I don't even tell him. He says, no need. He says exactly these words. He says, no need to introduce yourself. I know who you are. You're Claudienne Hibert. And at that moment, I knew I was aligned with the right company. I had not really done anything yet. Well, I did. I brought 33 people with me in 30 days. So I did do something, but he knew exactly who I was. And I knew I was aligned with the right company.
That's awesome. I love it. What would you say is the biggest piece of advice you got real estate wise, or the best?
Success loves speed. Don't slow down. Those
Success
people will
loves
tell
speed.
you to slow down and learn everything before by the time you learn something else is going to change. So then you never get started. You never get started. Just get started. Just go make the phone call. Yes, we still cold call. Yes, we use social media. You just can't stop there.
Yeah.
There's a link in my bio, but guess what? That link in the bio takes them somewhere. It's going to get their email and phone number. And guess what? If I don't call them back at everything requires follow up.
Right.
I got to get on the phone at some point. So like all this, oh, AI is going to do everything. Wow, they'll do a lot. You still have to pick up the phone and call people.
Right. Yeah. What's next for you?
What's next for me? The top. I want to look up 5 years from now and see that I've been able to impact over 20,000 agents. And I know that I can do that because the visionary has a goal for the next 5 years to reach 500,000 agents at EXP. My goal is what part of that share am I going to be responsible for?
Hmm.
I truly believe I will be the largest woman team that run team and black team, African American, whatever you want to call it, black, African American, melanin, I'm all that. Okay. Caribbean, I'm all that. I believe I'm going to be the representation for my community of EXP Realty.
I love it. I mean, I'm so excited to hear that, and
And
obviously,
let me add
wish
the
you the very
Latins in there
best.
too. My
Say
Latin
that.
people with me. Let me add the Latin people in there too.
That's cool. I'm Egyptian, by the way. I'm African.
Hey,
Hey. Awesome. Um, I was gonna,
I
ask
like
you.
that lion behind you.
Thank you, thank you. I
My
appreciate
birthday
that.
is in August. I'm a Leo, so that's like I don't know if you did that on purpose. You knew
No,
it.
no, it's always there.
Wow.
You're
Amazing.
talking about impact, and I think you mentioned it a few times, right? And I love that. It's a big word in my vocabulary as well. What does that look like to you when you talk about, impacting 20,000 Asians? What does that mean?
It's a great thing when I do something for the first time, right? It's great.
Hmm.
You're
True.
excited, but it really, to me, it doesn't really mean anything. Who else can I bring with me to make or do better than what I've done?
Hmm.
That's impact to me. If I do it, it's one thing, that's a start. And it's not to be minimized, but it's just a start. Who can I bring with me to the top? Who can I bring? And the top doesn't mean the top. It means the top of you hitting your target. It means who can I help to reach their goals? I call goals targets now. Okay. So that's my target. And what do you do when you're shooting? You're shooting that white paper to hit the middle of the target. So now who am I helping to reach their target? I believe that is the definition of impact.
Hmm.
Being able to change somebody's financial situation. People are going to say, oh, you know what? Money isn't important. That's BS. Money is important because if your lights go off, guess what happens? You got to find the what to pay them.
Yeah, you need money to pay the
Right.
bills.
The water goes off. What do you need money. You need
Yeah,
money to vacation. You need money to write a check to an organization that you've always wanted to be a part of.
right, right, for
So
sure.
how can I impact the next realtor to not only double their income, but to triple their income? And now watch this. Not only do they triple their income, my goal is to impact households. I want to create 10,000 homeowners and investors. I cannot do it alone. So guess what? I get to coach, I get to help impact other realtors' income, and they get to help us create massive success.
Hmm. I love it.
So
Um, if you were starting real estate today, current economy, current technology, all of that, what would you focus on?
woo, woo. Listen, I will be on social media every day. I will be dropping a YouTube every day, right? And I will be creating. It's not just being there, but you also have to create. What do I like to call it? A call to action. You've
Hmm.
got to create a call to action. So I would focus on that. I focus on it now. I'm pivoting. I didn't have this stuff 22 years ago. Who
Yeah,
would have known, right? We'd all have stock in Instagram and Facebook by now, right?
right.
Who would have known?
Amazon and all the big companies.
Exactly. Like I would definitely utilize my social media, and I would also accelerate in creating my database. So when I
Mm.
look at my database, see, my first 5 years, I didn't know anything about a database. So just imagine all those people I've done deals with. They're not in my database, and I forgot. I
Yeah,
forgot.
I teach a lot of real estate classes, and I usually ask people if you were to go back, kind of starting your real estate career, what's one thing you would do? And a lot of people tell me, would have organized a database or would have kept good
I would
uh,
definitely.
connection with my, past clients. And especially, the more years you're in the business, you realize the value of that, right?
Listen, when you're nervous, your central nervous system shuts down in a human's body. Just know that you've transitioned, right?
Hmm.
I look at my database as the central nervous system. Without it, your business is dead.
Hmm.
Okay,
I
I'm
love
gonna
that.
repeat that again. My database is the most important, not Instagram, not any of this stuff. It's how many people can I get in my database? Because now I get to now drip market. Remember when Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp all went out a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
years
There was a
back?
day where all
Like
of the stuff.
3
Yep,
days. People
yep.
were like nervous. I wasn't. I said, okay, well, let me go to the database. Because the
Right.
true people in my orbit are in my database. That means that they've clicked something in my bio because they like me. They like what I'm doing. They like something about what I'm offering. So those are my true community people. Those are the people that are in my community. I said, well, we'll just go over here and talk to them over here. Zoom was still going on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we just connected in a whole different way. That's why the database is so important.
for sure. I'm loving this. I'm fired up. I'm inspired. But I know time is running short, so I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions, and then we'll close this out. Um, One piece of advice for new agents just starting out. You kind of hit some of it, but
And I want everybody to write this down. In the absence of courage, do it scared. You
mm,
may not have the courage. You might be afraid. Do it anyway. Knock on the door anyway. Make the phone call anyway. Get hung up anyway. You're going to be hung up on a lot. Just go to the next call. In the absence of having the courage in the moment, my friends, just do it scared. Just do it scared.
love it. How about advice for seasoned agents, maybe who have been doing well and are kind of in a stuck, rough patch right now?
Um, that would be like somebody like me, and I'd be lying to you if I say sometimes I'm not stuck. I go back to my morning formula. What is
Mm,
my morning formula? You have to have a morning regimen, whatever that regimen is. Okay, whether it's you're not eating for 2 hours from time, whatever it is, you pray, you manifest, you say your mantras, you manifest. Go back to that and always stay plugged in.
mm.
See, my team is so cold. When I say cold, I mean lit. Is that because I'm staying plugged in? The minute I get here, boom, because I'm plugged in, I don't even go back to where I was. I go past where I was. So stay plugged into a community that works for you. Stay connected into community that works for you, that literally can pick you up without even them calling you on the phone, without you even hearing their voice. See, my leaders, we're all in a group chat. That's Elena Cardone, Brian Cohane, Lisa Copeland, had the number one Fiat dealership. Now she's like the number one real estate professional, just really Hoss Pratt, Tarth El Musa.
It's a lot of heavy hitters there.
Yeah, like they dropped something in the chat. I'm like, well, my life could be worse. Let me get back up.
Yeah. Oh, love it. If you would recommend one person to interview, who would it be?
One person to interview for me? Oh, let me see. I don't know if it would be just one. Let me see here. Let me see if I could. I mean, I think it would be Oprah. If I
Mm.
had an opportunity to really get into the mind of Oprah,
Why so? Real quick.
you know, Oprah has shown us that success can be reached even when you don't have the cards dealt to you of success. She was not born rich. She really literally worked her way to where she is. So if I could interview her like the beginning of times when she was a news anchor, then she went over to the Oprah show, and then how she, I mean, to have a whole network,
Network, right?
to have a
Yeah.
network. Like if I could interview Oprah, I would. Like that would be my dream. I think that would be my dream interview.
Yeah, no, I mean, Oprah is amazing, and also does a lot of stuff on attitude and mindset. I pull a lot of her stuff
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
classes. One last question. I know you speak on stages, so your big message to realtors, what would it be? Just one big message to a lot of real estate professionals.
You know, we're going in a recession. No matter what people say or think, we are going into a recession. And we're already in a recession. Like Airbnb is down 50%, interest
Yeah.
rates at 8%. You know, we're buying a building, and I just be transparent with you, it's 3.3 million and nobody wants to touch it. So we've had to go hard money, come up with half of that. And it's not easy. But I tell you what, if you maintain, like, don't quit. Don't quit when it gets harder. Just go back to work. And sometimes we have to put in more work than we put in the last few years. And it's okay, it's just seasonal. So, my big message would be, despite the recession, there are always going to be winners going to the top. During
Mm.
COVID, there were winners going to the top. Despite it was a gift and a curse. There were people who rose to the top. But if you just stand the course, don't quit. Don't quit. When it gets harder, don't quit. It just shows that you can get through these types of markets.
Yeah.
And then you create sustainability and you'll be able to say, hey, I've been a realtor for 2 decades.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I'm inspired. I hope all of you guys are. Hopefully, everybody is taking some great notes. Claudienne, thank you so much. I am grateful
Thank you for
for your
having
time
me.
and your presence for sure. Maybe we'll do this again. Have a good
All
one.
right. Peace out.